Hello, hello, all. Thank you for joining us again on the Almost Brothers podcast. Hey, will you do us a favor? If this podcast has meant something to you and encouraged you, will you consider becoming a monthly supporter? You could do $3, $5, $8, or $10 a month. What this does is this helps financially support the podcast so that we can continue to put out content and help better serve you. So if you would, down in the show notes, you can click the link, support, and become a monthly member. We love you. New episode coming your way.
Okay, greatest wrestler of all time. You can only pick one. Go.
Big Country Rich. That's not.
Are we naming ourselves?
Okay, Tyler, who you got?
No, I'm just joking. Of all time, Taker.
Taker?
I'm actually going to go with Randy Orton, the Viper.
Really?
Yeah.
Randy Orton, the GOAT.
He is fantastic.
Okay.
He is pretty good.
I think I'm going to go Shawn Michaels.
Oh, that's a good one, too. I changed my answer.
Can I change? Shawn Michaels, man.
HBK.
HBK.
But ain't no
He
one
was
had a
awesome.
career like Taker.
Yeah, Taker's
yeah.
he's on the Mount Rushmore for sure.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. There's no way to
I really think he will go down as literally the greatest of all time.
See, to me, to be the greatest of all time, you had to be the best on all things.
Right.
Wrestling, on the mic, charisma.
I think he was.
Undertaker on a microphone. Stop it, Tyler.
He had moments. He had
I'm not talking about moments. I'm talking about you had to be the best.
All around good.
Yes. Now wrestling, yes, he is absolutely up there, but like not on a microphone. He can't. No.
I think he can.
No, stop.
But that was part of the character. He didn't have to be.
But that doesn't make him good at the mic just because he didn't have to be.
No, but we're not. Listen,
I'm a great wrestler because I don't have to be.
Big Rich. we just making up stuff, I guess. Like
no, how do I explain it? That's like saying, that'd be like saying Steph Curry can't be one of the greatest because LeBron dunks more than he does.
No,
That's not an
because
accurate analogy.
dunking isn't a key part of basketball. That would be like saying Steph Curry is the best player of all time, but he's not really good at passing because he doesn't have to. Well, then that doesn't make you the best basketball player of all time.
He's open. He can shoot.
No,
if he's open, shoot.
You got it. Why is Michael Jordan the best of all time? Because he played defense, because he played offense, because he could dribble, he could shoot, he could do everything.
Even if he was a horrible human being.
Yes.
Okay.
But Taker's up there. I'm not saying he's not.
Not taking it away from
I think-
Taker.
Right.
I think he'll go.
I'd put Taker behind Austin.
You've got a valid point there.
Best on the mic is The Rock. I mean, just
the mic. Oh yeah,
Just the
he's good. He's good.
It doesn't
Oh
matter.
my gosh, he would
Jabroni.
he'd get poor Michael Cole. Well, what's up? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold up.
What's up? I'm Zeke, and thank you for joining the Almost Brothers podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Almost Broadcast, not brought to you by the WWE.
The Almost broadcast?
The Almost Brothers broadcast. I did say broadcast, didn't I?
Man,
I'm really stuck in WWE right now. Like, what in the world is going on? The Almost
Crackle.
Brothers podcast.
It's time.
That's
That's
boxing.
UFC.
Yeah, UFC. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is funny.
We are mixing metaphors left and right around here. Just stay with us, folks.
Oh,
I started
that's
thinking
funny.
about this clip from I think it was the last Money in the Bank, and R-Truth was like doing some
Oh
of
my
John
gosh.
Cena's moves,
Yeah.
and Michael Cole's was like R-Truth paying tribute to his childhood hero, and then like a second later, even though he was 40 at the time.
Yes. Oh, it's so funny.
John Cena, man, I see him at WrestleMania. He is not looking good.
Yeah, he's getting.
He's
getting old,
been
man.
talking about he is nearing the end.
Yeah.
He said he's probably got a handful of matches left.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting
Talking
up
about
there,
how
man.
he was talking on a Logan Paul's podcast. Like he knows that the end of his career is coming.
Man, can you imagine the pain that those guys are in, and that old, they've been doing it for years and years.
Oh, and it's like people get so mad at him when they leave for Hollywood. It's like I would too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, without a
Work
doubt.
340 days a year. Work 2 months out of the year.
Right.
I wonder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, your body just gets wore down. It's like you just can't do it anymore.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it kind of goes with the people. Oh, it's all fake. Like, can we get past that? Yes, it's scripted.
Right.
They know who wins.
Right.
They know who's going to hold the belt for how
Right.
long. They know. No, they're not decking each other straight in the jaw. You jump off a 20-foot ladder. That's not gonna feel great.
Right.
right.
You're gonna feel it in the morning.
Well,
But guess what? In the morning, they got to do it all over again.
Those people-
I feel it in the morning when I get off the couch. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, those people drama. That's fake, right? I don't know why you watch that. You watch movies.
Yeah.
You
same
watch
thing.
TV
Exactly.
shows. They're not hitting each other in the face.
Right.
It's the
Like-
Bachelor, but for I hate saying
For guys.
but
Yeah,
it's the
that's what it
Bachelor
is,
for us.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is women can't like wrestling?
Oh,
I
dang.
just said not guys.
Darn. Darn diddy darn
just said,
darn.
listen, you're putting words in my mouth that I am literally
Not saying.
saying.
Trying not to say.
Oh, that's funny.
What's this episode about?
Yes. So on this episode, we are talking about
The WWE Super Show. No.
Super Slam.
Wow. Okay.
We are talking today on today's episode. Today we are talking about.
We're on today's talking about today's show on today's episode.
We are talking.
Today's broadcast.
We are. Are y'all on channel 12? We are talking about finding your calling. Finding your calling. What am I called to do? What is my purpose in life? Ministry or otherwise? Because some people aren't called into what we think is the ministry.
Right.
Preaching, teaching, kids,
Whatever,
pastoring.
yeah.
Some people are called. Some people are just to be attendees, and their ministry is their job, their home life, their whatever. It may not be in the ministry that we think. So I think people struggle really bad on trying to find their calling.
And I think they put too much importance on the preaching and the teaching and the
Yeah.
they don't even look for a calling beyond that.
Yeah,
It's just like, well, I'm not a preacher, so I don't have a calling.
yeah. They think
Well,
everything else is less
Well,
important.
that's what they think ministry is.
Right.
They think ministry is being a preacher.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And they think everything else outside of that is not worth it.
Yeah.
Less than. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's not as important as the preacher or the worship team or whatever. And I think people lose out on a calling that God has on their life because of that, and they don't step into. You're a greeter, and people look forward to seeing you. You're a servant. Mom is such a good example of that. That is scared to death to get in front of anybody and say anything.
Right.
But just wants to serve and help and do. And that is as important as anybody giving a message.
And this is not ministry based, but there is a Walmart greeter in Poplar Bluff, and this kid has been doing it for a long time. His name is Adam,
Yeah.
and I know his name because used to he would sing.
Yes.
As
Yep.
you
I
would-
know
you know
exactly what you're
about?
talking about. Yep.
And I still, to this day, I mean, it's probably a decade he's been doing this, and I still know his name, and I
Yep.
know when he's working, and I look forward to seeing him.
Yeah.
That's an important part to play.
Yes. He's not a general manager of
Right.
Walmart. He's not the one that makes the prices. But he is somebody you remember from that Walmart
Right.
because of that, because he has that good attitude and that smiling face when you walk in.
Well, I think a lot of people confuse ministry with a title.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's good. Or a calling with a title. Well, what do you do? Well, nothing really. I mean, I help with food. Okay, that's awesome. That's not just I don't really do anything. I just do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's so disheartening, not only for that person but for other people that may not be gifted in speaking, may not be gifted in music, may not be gifted in teaching kids or whatever, but may be gifted in hospitality, may be gifted in just a good attitude.
Yeah, your mom made us breakfast and lunch today.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a service.
Oh,
That's,
and
that's
it-
a calling.
And dude, how like it's like thank you so
Yes,
much. Like
absolutely.
that's something we don't have to deal with.
Yep.
We could not preachers, speakers, evangelists, the big ministries, air quote big ministries, cannot do what they're doing without those people.
Absolutely.
It is impossible. You cannot do it. You can't do it without the faithful people that are giving. You
Right.
cannot do it without the greeters that make people feel welcome when they come into church. When you give a good message and somebody comes down, their life gets changed, that has to do with the parking lot crew, that has to do with the greeters, that has to do with hospitality, it has to do with everybody in that church, not just your message.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important for those that have those titles to be encouragers of those
Right.
people.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you know, your mom could have given lunch and breakfast to anyone, probably not get a thank you or get a thank you, and it's just, you know, just someone random. But from you, you know, not only just a son, but a pastor, that carries some weight, you know. And when I was leading worship, you know, I tried to kind of make that a thing, like when we do devotionals before our rehearsals, you know, telling, you know, like Adriana or Jennifer or whoever's doing slides, like, your role is more important than what you think.
Yeah.
And it plays, no role is bigger than the other,
Yeah.
and it all has to come together somehow, and it's not going to come together without that one person, that
Right.
one piece,
That
one
adds so
service.
much. Like when you walk when you walk into a place and they've got the words ready and they got the background and they're on time, and like it adds to everything else. And when you don't have that, it almost becomes, of course you don't have to have that stuff, but it almost becomes a burden. Like, man, I wish they had
Yeah.
words, that way I could sing along with the songs I don't know.
Or like like people that greet people out in the parking lot, or like that. Church service doesn't start when the pastor gets up there or when the music starts. The service for the individual starts when they pull up in the parking lot.
Yes.
And there's someone greeting them.
100%
Well,
walls start to break down.
Well, and you look like when you go to a restaurant, is it just the cook or is it just
Right.
the waitress or is it just the manager? You know, everybody in that place is responsible for
For something, and it plays
Yeah.
a part in the big picture.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's many times. That's such a good analogy. So there's many times in a restaurant you won't even get to the table to try the food if you walk in and it's dirty and it stinks, or the hostess is rude.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't even get to
Yeah,
the
I'm
main
good.
course.
Yeah, yeah.
You turn. Oh no, man! There's no way.
Yeah.
We've pulled in parking lots, and because the parking lot's dirty, like there's no way we're in
Right.
there. It could have been the greatest restaurant in the world, but I'm not going in to try it because my first impression is absolutely not.
Right.
You know,
Well,
so
I did that at St. Louis. There was a Chinese restaurant that we were looking at trying. I went, there was bars on the windows. I was like, nope, I ain't even stopping.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not doing that.
ain't doing it. You know, and it's the same thing with our service of any kind. Everybody is important. And what has happened is the people of higher position have tried to create that gap to make themselves feel more important.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's at a discouragement of everybody else, because now people don't want to do that because they think it's just a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And at the same time, that creates a reputation for that church or that restaurant. Because, I mean, there's a place where me and Andrew, where he'd always tell me about this place, telling me about the reputation of the food. We go there. I'm like, this place looks run down, whatever.
Right.
I'm going to go there because I know the food is good.
Yeah.
And the quality of the food is good. Just like a church. That church is going to build a reputation
Sure. Yeah.
around the people, around the everything, the
Yes.
sermons, the music,
Yeah.
the people that are on staff, the people who are volunteering there. There's gonna be a reputation. If you have a reputation as a church of you don't have volunteers, it's not exciting. Granted, that's not what we're supposed to be going to church for, but you're probably not going to get people there if you don't have a great reputation.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, me and Pastor Aaron Tilley, we were just talking about this. And I will I could be completely wrong, but this is where I say culture is more important than what you have to say. Okay. So your culture that you build is what keeps and brings people in to even get to your culture over content. That's what I was going to say. It is what creates an environment for people to come in. Chick-fil-A is the #1 restaurant on the planet. It is not because they have the best food, and it is not the best tasting restaurant in the world.
Right.
It is because their culture of people in the drive-through that are inviting, that are nice, their speed in which they work,
Right.
all these things add up to a great experience.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's how you get people. That's why their drive-through is always full. It's not because of their food. Their food is good. It's above average, but it's not 55 cars in line on a Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. It's their culture that gets you in. That's the same in our ministries. Is the culture is what gets people to the content.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's good.
So it's like, I don't know why we can't get people in. Well, you've got people serving that don't want to be there,
Right.
that are down. They don't think their position's important. They just are there to fill a spot, and you're not encouraging them that you're a part of this. So you can't get people even to make it to the message. So it's like you get a message together and you get ready and you do everything you can, but everybody else on the way to that is not doing their part. Then of course it's going to go to whoever's there, but you're minimizing the opportunity of what you would have if you had people that were in spots on the way there, that were ready, that were excited, they're smiling. I have the great honor of leading our morning huddle every Sunday. And that's what I try to tell them, like, please understand. And it's going to get repetitive because I'm going to continue to say it. Please understand, y'all are important.
Right.
Parking lot people, security people, you're working with kids, you're doing media, you're doing all these things outside of praise team and pastor. You are important.
Right.
People's lives get changed. You are important. I can't wait for people to get to heaven and somebody walks up to them and say, hey, your smile is what kept me at church that morning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was ready to leave, but because you came and greeted me, I stayed. I got my life changed. I got to hear a good word. God changed my life that day.
I don't know how many times I've been standing in a lobby of a church and somebody will come in and they have that look where they're new. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to take my kids. I don't know where to sit. I don't know. It's a terrifying thing to go to a new church and not have anybody greet you and tell you where you need, especially with me, with us having 6 kids. Do y'all have kids church?
Right.
Where do I take my children?
Right. Where they even, okay, y'all do have kids church. Is it all ages? Where does it stop? Yeah.
And it's important to emphasize that with these roles that may seem small to people doing it or whoever, that could be the make it or break it thing for someone.
Right.
Yeah.
That greeter at the door, that person either having a bad attitude or not being there, could be that, I don't know if this is the place for me.
Right.
It's something just like you said, talking about a restaurant parking lot. Oh, it's gross. We're going to go somewhere else. That was it.
Yeah.
And that's people. It could be one tiny minuscule thing, but that's the thing that did it.
And it could be something that's completely and totally not important to us. Doesn't matter. It was important to that person.
It was important to them. And that's why they're not there.
Yeah.
And and I think many times the reason it gets overlooked, one, because leaders, they want to make them look more important than everybody else, but also because it's not glamorous. Cleaning the parking lot, making sure the bathrooms are clean, greeting people, dealing with the kids, welcome team that has to find the new people and hey, welcome. I know you're new. My name's so and so. Like, that's not glamorous. That's not get up in front of people, got the spotlight and the microphone.
Right.
So people shy away from that, and we just naturally look at that as unimportant. It's like on a movie set, all the movie stars seem like the important ones. They're actually the least important.
Right.
The most important are the ones doing sound, the ones doing camera, the ones that are making it happen.
Those are the
editors.
Those are the people that are there before the stars show up and do their lines.
Well, the stars come in, do and their job's done.
Yeah.
If you're an editor, if you're a director, you're
Good luck.
hours and days and months longer than those movie stars are there.
Yeah.
But it's the movie stars that are glamorous and you see them and oh my goodness.
And then kind of like just what we were talking about on our last podcast, we all can't fulfill every single purpose for everything.
Yeah.
I'm not a door greeter.
Right.
Nobody wants to see you.
I'm like
Just get in here and find a seat.
I'm not that person. I can lead worship and I can kind of sing a song and play guitar. I'm not a door greeter. I'm not a youth pastor. I am not built like that.
Yeah.
I am built differently than those people.
Right.
If I'm running a church, I need those people.
Sure.
Yes.
To be those people.
And understanding that you're not that is
Yeah.
important.
Yes.
Knowing your calling
Yes.
is important. Don't as a leader, do not force people into things just to fill a space.
Man, that's so good. So let's go there. Like
Let's go.
that's what let's go. Here we go. Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of leaders fall into problems.
Yeah.
They have a role that needs filled and they'll just put somebody there.
Right.
As long as we got somebody, which for a time being, sometimes it's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like we just don't have anybody. We need to put somebody there. But we can't force people into going into something that it's, especially when they have no heart for it whatsoever. Wow, but I really like if you have to talk them into it, it's probably not a good idea,
Right.
whether you have people there or not.
Right.
So find people that at least have a heart for it, but that are also have the grace for it, that God has graced them with that thing, that opportunity. Don't put somebody in kids ministry because you need somebody in kids ministry that just cannot stand kids.
Right.
That is just going to be real bad.
No, that's going to be more of a detriment than just not having kids ministry.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because in that situation, okay, put the kids out with the rest of the congregation, let the parents take care of them. Okay, you put them in a ministry or a kids church with someone that doesn't want to be there and is awful and is mean to the kids. Guess what? Those kids don't want to be there even more.
Right. Yeah.
Like, okay, mom and dad's dragging me to church. No, this person is mean. I don't want to be here.
Right. Yeah. And it will stop the opportunity to get people into church because no, I don't want to go to that.
And then even that, you got a mean kids Sunday school teacher. Parents aren't going to like that.
Right.
We're leaving the church now.
Right. Because now you look at that at the entire and pastor, any of the leaders may not know at all what the situation is, but because the wrong person was there, now that family doesn't want to come there, and they judge the entire church off of that person, off of that ministry because that person wasn't called to that. Now all of a sudden, oh, we don't go to that church because this.
Right.
And now you've got most of the leadership have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, why'd they leave? Why ain't we getting people in? And you don't know because you've got somebody in a spot that it's getting to, the end goal is lives being changed, but it stops there and you don't even get a chance. So it's like, what in the world's going on?
Well, we've talked about that before about, when possible, there needs to be a standard of recruitment for a church. It needs to be, are you led to do this? Are you passionate about this, or is this just someone we're throwing in?
Yeah.
Whenever possible, there needs to be that level of accountability and what's the word I'm looking for? Just a standard.
Yeah, just standard. Yeah.
Standard
the bar.
of behavior for that and recruitment.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like, okay, do you feel called to this? Because this is where I've seen a lot of leaders get caught up too. Do you feel called to this? Yes. Do you have the ability to do it?
Right.
So they think, oh, because this person feels called to it, put them there.
Right.
That's not going to work. You got to make sure they're called to it and they have the ability to do it. Because if they don't have the ability to do it, that can be taught. The call, the burning desire, that's what a call is. This is churchy words. A calling is a desire on the inside to do fill in the blank.
Right.
Okay. So they can have the call to do it and not have the ability to do it. The ability can be taught, but the call can't. The call is something that comes from God. That's a desire on the inside.
It's the God doesn't call the qualified.
Yes.
Qualifies the call.
Yes. So
And I'm called to be on the worship team. I'm not called to lead that worship team.
right.
So I'm fine standing to the side of Tyler,
Yeah.
not in front of Tyler. I don't want that leadership role. And you just have to understand the difference.
Yeah.
And I've used you as an example before, talking to.
Don't use me.
I have. I'll say Richard doesn't have the voice of Michael Bublé, but he sets the example of kind of what it looks like to worship.
Yeah.
And leads by that example. And I'll explain that, worshiping is going to look different for other people, but him being there, him worshiping looks different from me. And so he can, what's the word I'm looking for? He can kind of appease someone else that wants to worship like him.
Yeah. He could widen the portfolio of the stage.
Yeah. Gosh dang it.
Just call me wide.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that. Oh my gosh.
But in a way, he just by being there is encouraging to people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, and that's one of the roles I want to fill, and this is something that's important to me, is I want other men to understand that they can praise, that they can worship openly, and see me doing it and know that that's okay.
Yeah. And that is the key to success in what your calling is.
Right.
Is understanding the desire, the ability, and the reason why. Mm-hmm. If you get all three of those, now you're stepping into the calling that God has for you. Because if you're called, God will make you able to do it, whether it's you're blessed with a good voice, or he sends somebody to you to help develop you in doing that. And then it's once you step into that, now you know why you're doing it. You don't step outside of that going, oh, I've got this now.
Right.
I feel like I'm called to do it. I'm blessed to do it. And I've learned how to do it. Now I could take off, and you kind of leave God. It's like, no, okay, now that's when you see a lot of people fall in their calling. They're clearly called to do it. They're great at it. They're effective at it, but they're trying to do it outside God's grace, and they're trying to do it their own way. And it's like they begin to fall, so understanding those three things, and understanding as leaders to understand that in your people. Are you called? How can we equip you? And how can we keep you on task of doing what God has called you to do? That's when you have effective calling. Understanding that what you're called to do is a small part of what you're called to do.
Right.
What you're called to do is chase after Christ. Period.
Yeah, period. Absolutely.
Everything else comes under that.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're singing, you're preaching, you're evangelizing, all that comes under that. If that is out of place, everything will fall apart.
Right.
Yep. What the calling for all of us is the same. What we do to fulfill that calling is different.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And we all play our part.
Mm-hmm. And again, no part is more important than the other.
No. Now, more parts carry more responsibility than others, but that doesn't make them more important than others. It's.
Well, I do want to say that we are not telling people to not give pastors the respect that they deserve.
Right.
If you are under a pastor that you have a lack of respect for, you're under the wrong pastor.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You need to be moving on and finding somebody that you are led to be under.
And that comes with that responsibility.
Right.
Okay. So, an example, the president of the United States, that holds such esteem and such importance. Is that more important in your everyday life than where you get your food from?
No.
Absolutely not. So even though that holds more importance and more prestige, it doesn't hold more importance of your day-to-day life. So that's kind of that thing is where a pastor holds more responsibility, more honor than anybody else, than any regular, parking lot person or whatever that holds that more responsibility, and you honor that role. But is it more important? No. We're all important. No. We'll all Christ is the head. We're all just parts.
That's exactly right.
He's the important one. We're all just doing our part,
I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody.
Yeah. That's right.
That's the important. I see, importance as, if this one thing or this one person falls apart, is that going to affect the whole picture? And if you say yes to it, that's important.
Yeah.
And that's
and it's everything.
It's everyone volunteering in the church.
Yeah.
If a sound guy's not there, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. if the sound guy's not there and not running sound, the message
Right.
isn't going out.
Right.
The camera guy's not there, the guy that running the live feed, it's not going out to people. If the greeters aren't there, if the people don't show up, the pastor just is speaking a message to nobody. So if people aren't inviting people, if people aren't getting up and going, if people aren't greeting, then it's
Well,
all for
And it's something you always say, that if you're following me, you're following the wrong person.
Yes.
You're following the wrong thing, because it's not about the pastor. It's not about any of that. It is about the head of the church.
yeah.
The big C.
The big head, the big church. Yeah.
It's kind of like don't shoot the messenger. That statement's basically saying don't put all the pressure on the person giving the message.
Yeah.
That message is coming from someone more important.
Yeah.
That's who you need to be focused on.
Now that person always needs to be the one that is driving the vision for the church. If you're talking about a church setting, or if you're talking about like a company, you have a head of the company.
Right.
They're driving the vision forward, but it's everybody else that is putting that vision
Right.
and going with it. That's how it moves. That's how.
And again, if that vision is not what you see for your whatever, then maybe you shouldn't be a part of that ministry.
Right. Yeah.
But
It's-
don't-
Or take a step back and reevaluate yourself.
Yeah.
Sure.
Reevaluate.
I feel like that needs to happen more.
Yeah.
Like for me and Liv stepped down because I had to take a second and reevaluate myself, because worship stopped being worship and started being a performance.
Right.
Yep.
And that is not good for me, and that's not good for the congregation.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And knowing, so from pastor down, honor your pastor.
Mhm.
So everybody under, honor your pastor. Also, pastors, honor your people.
Absolutely.
It's a two-way street.
Yep.
Yes. That when you see that, it is the most beautiful thing in the world. When you see a congregation and a group of people that honor their pastor and a pastor that honors their people,
And that,
they're going
yeah,
places.
and that reminds me of when Pastor Randy was telling us about a greeter that they have, and he was just saying that she has just such a warm smile.
Yeah.
And she's just an amazing person to be around. I'm like, this is the head pastor
Yes.
Yeah.
of a very large church talking about a greeter.
Yes. Knows about their
With that-
family.
with that
knows
respect.
about, yes.
Yes.
And that's where putting the right people in those positions,
Yep.
that's where it pays off.
Yeah.
As a pastor, that holds a lot of weight. You need to use that weight and that
Yeah.
responsibility for the good of yourself and the people you're trying to disciple.
Yeah.
Again, it's a two-way street. The best way to keep people wanting to volunteer and wanting to serve and be a part of it, encourage them as the head honcho there.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it is a beautiful thing to be a part of and to see. It really is. See that both sides and both ways
Right,
of it. It's
right.
like, this is how it should be.
Yeah.
This is going to grow. This is going to go places because of that.
And that's when it clicks.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Oh yeah, because you've seen. I mean, there's bukus of places that have a great leader when it comes to ability. They do good at that, but they don't honor their people, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because they don't honor. Like, people are like, I ain't volunteering for that.
Well, I put in the perspective of college professors. College professors are very, very, very knowledgeable in their field of expertise and have the ability. A lot of them, and I would go to say the majority of them, are not teachers.
Yeah, they can't relay that message.
Teachers.
Yeah,
and that's not to knock who they are as professors and what they do and what they know, but that's a lot of, in my experience, a lot of leadership, a lot of the best leadership doesn't necessarily come straight from ability. It's the ability to lead people, to connect with people, and to encourage people. And you're talking about Pastor Randy. That's kind of ideal leadership right there, because in the world of Jesus and God in the kingdom of heaven, it's an upside down kingdom. The first is last and the last is first. That's the example that Jesus set, and that's the example that Pastor Randy is following and leading by.
yes,
Well,
Yep.
that's what you said about college professors. That's so being biblically knowledgeable does not make you a good pastor,
right.
because you have to be able to impart that knowledge in a way that makes sense to people.
Yeah,
I can't preach. like you do, but I can dissect a lesson and teach that lesson. So there's a reason for every role, and there has to be understanding of those callings and the different people that do them,
and an understanding of who needs to be in those positions and who doesn't.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Because again, not knocking any of my professors, because they were great professors. They're cool people, but some of them, they're just not meant to teach.
Right.
They're not great teachers,
Yeah.
And it's no fault of their own. It's how they're built.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like I'm not meant to be a door greeter. I'm not meant to work in children's ministry. That's just not how I'm built.
I don't know I don't know how they do. Oh my goodness, man.
And you and Jamie focus so much on youth and your years of ministry, and I feel like that's we talk about that's such a kind of an underdeveloped kind of almost mistreated kind of part of ministry. And I remember there's a church that I'm not going to go into detail what the church is. I know of the church, and they use that as like a stepping stone for people in ministry. Oh, you want to be on the worship team? You're going to have to serve in children's church to prove you're worth it or something like that.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Or like to show your loyalty or whatever.
Right. Just like,
and all you're doing is setting them up to fail.
Yeah. Setting them up to not make it to where they're called to go, because they'd stop there and go, this ain't for me. So I'll just, never mind. Like I get it if you need help in other areas, like, okay, you're called to this, but we've got somebody there. Can you help us here?
Right.
Okay. But not like, well, you got to do this first to get to this. It's like, oh man, that's bad.
Even serving in that role that will help you in your future calling, not just
right. Yeah.
Not just throwing you in somewhere that has nothing to do with what your calling is.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I'm called to be on the praise and worship team. Well, okay, you're going to help with kids because that's going to help you. How?
Right. Because that's going to help with your kid. Yeah. And also understanding that never be too big for your calling.
Right.
Never be too big to take the trash out, to sweep a floor, to step in and help another area. That's what's so great about both of y'all is you'd have like your area, like, okay, men's and music. Y'all were never just men's and music.
Right.
You were always, okay, what does the youth need help with? Can we help with the kids? Hey, let's help, we're having a cleaning day or a work day or, car wash or whatever. You always went outside that. It wasn't like, well, it's not a men's thing, so I ain't got to worry. It ain't a music thing, so I ain't got to worry about it. That's when you've got the right people in the right spots. Like, okay, you're called to do this, you're in there, but you're also stepping outside that and just want to lend a hand and wherever you can.
Well, it goes back to...
I don't know that we were ever big enough to have that option, but...
Right, yeah.
Well, it goes back to understanding that all of us have the same calling. Right. We have different... we have different gifts in which we are going to fulfill that calling, but we all have the same calling, and part of that calling comes with serving and loving others, and that's just part of it.
Yeah.
And when you can get a hold of whoever is leading that organization, that church, when you've got people that grab a hold of that vision, that's when you see that happen. Like, okay, cool. I'm going to do my part because I believe in where we're going.
Right.
I believe in what we're doing. I believe in what we're trying to fulfill here. So I think leaders make sure that wherever you feel the church or the organization or the business or whatever, wherever you feel it called to go, make sure you bring your people along in that. Make sure they know it's not just, I know where we're going. Y'all don't worry. Y'all just follow.
Right.
Make sure that they know, hey, here's where we're going. Here's the vision. Here's what we want. Here's what our ideals are. Here's where the bar is set. Here's where all this is. So they know and they can go, okay, cool. They grab a hold of it and now they're ready to go.
Well, that goes back to what you said about, why do we do it? Because I said so. That's never a good reason for anything. You can't, even as parents, that old because I said so thing does not work.
No.
Kids want to know why this is going on.
It's lazy, essentially.
Yeah.
That is exactly right.
Yeah. And it's a loss of a teaching opportunity.
Right.
You want to teach them obedience, but you also want to teach them why you're obedient.
And that's not to say I'm not going to ever use that when I'm a parent, because I will. I know I will.
There'll be times where you just don't have the time to explain it.
Yeah.
So you're just like, because just do it. I don't have time to explain it right now.
And then at the same time, the people following have that trust.
Yeah.
you need, and I think, and that comes with, I feel like I'm really close to the microphone.
Because you are.
That comes with, the relationship between you and your pastor and your leadership, whatever, that needs to be built first, but have that trust and, and just understanding, okay, they've got a vision. I need to understand that they're in their position for a reason. I need to trust that.
Yeah.
Right.
And if their vision takes us somewhere we're not supposed to go, let's hope they have the sense to correct themselves and take the responsibility on them. And if not, then there's other things you need to reevaluate.
Yeah.
Right.
If you can't trust your leadership to guide you in a direction, that's either you're under bad leadership or you're being a bad follower. And something's got to be
Figure out one. Yeah.
Well, that can be true with your own calling too. If you feel called to do something and try it and it doesn't work out, maybe you weren't called to that. Maybe you misunderstood what God was calling you to do. Maybe it was a part of it, but it wasn't what you jumped into. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's just wasn't the time. Maybe
Timing,
you are
yes,
called into that.
is
You just,
important,
you just went early or you went late or, so.
Or I think also it can be as easy as you're called to it, but you went into it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
And was blinded by something else.
That's good. Yeah.
Like for me, like it turned into performing. I like performing. I really do. But that's not what my calling is supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be blinded by that.
Well, I like what you said about at times you're going to have to just trust your leader who's taking you. There's nothing harder when you've got to get something done and it needs to be in a timely fashion and you've got people that want to know every detail about everything that you're doing. It drives me crazy. It's like I will try my best in times when I can, like, hey, this is where we're going. Here's why. Here's where we're going. Sometimes you just don't have time for that. Hey, will you do this? Well, what do we need to do that for? I just need it done. That's it. Can you do this? Well, yeah, but what are we going to, can you do it? Oh, yeah. Oh, that good. Just do it. We can talk about it later. That's all we needed. Like, get it done.
That's the only time Pastor Mike hollered at me. It's just the way we're going to do it. All right.
Okay.
Fine.
I'll explain later. I promise.
I'll explain later. No time.
No time. Right. But yeah, and developing yourself as a leader, knowing to do that. Like, even if I don't have time, make sure you get with and make sure they know why. The why and what you're doing, good or bad.
Yeah.
If people know the why, okay, cool. I can disagree with you. At least I know why.
And that's the most frustrating thing is when people don't give you that opportunity to explain the why. We've talked about that before, how people would start coming to our church and then just dip.
Yeah.
We don't know why. Like, did we do something? Could we have provided something more? What happened?
Yeah.
Because we're completely blindsided by they're not there anymore and we don't know why.
Yeah. And that's where we're at City Church is we're creating some systems to be able to figure that out. So you come, say it's your first time or second time, and then we're figuring out like how to connect with them to see how it was. Is there anything that we could change, do better? Are you still coming? If not, what could we change to make it better? Even if you don't ever come back and it just wasn't for you, is there anything that you see that maybe we could change? And just getting that feedback of what did you see? What did you maybe not like? What did you like? Not that we'll agree with you on everything, but that we know that. So now we could put it down and figure out, okay, is there better ways to get people engaged, to get people connected?
Yeah. And I think specifically in situations like that, when it's, someone or family not coming to that church anymore, or a leadership stepping away or something like that, I feel like there has to be, and we've talked about before, there's got to be a standard of love towards them and hoping and praying for them that what they're stepping away from and stepping to is better in line with what God has for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because there's nothing more disheartening than, maybe you're in a leadership position saying you need to step down and things go bitter and sour
Yeah.
because you felt the need to step down or to step away towards something else.
Yeah.
And there's going to, when you talk about the systems, there's going to be those people that they're like, the chairs were red.
Right.
I just couldn't deal with that.
Right.
There's going to be people that they're just going to find a fault
Yeah.
no matter what you do. But being open to changing what you need to change
Yeah.
is going to be huge.
Oh yeah, because I think we'll get a lot of information like, well, we really would like, more connections outside of church, or we'd like to get connected into serving. Like if there was more serving opportunity to where you can look at that and go, oh, cool, this is some stuff that we can do.
Valuable feedback.
Pretty easy fixes that maybe we just didn't see, because you don't look at, it's impossible for you to look at church or a business in the same way everybody coming in, because everybody's from different backgrounds, different financials.
You just can't see everything.
Right. This family has 5 teenagers and no small children. This family has 2 small children. This family has no children. Are all looking for different things.
Yeah.
So it's like we can never know. And to be able to write that down and be, okay, cool.
Right.
This is what they were looking for.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for especially churches of y'all's size and bigger to really communicate that, because it's you got one pastor. Are you the only associate pastor, or is
Yes.
there? Okay, there's one of you. You've got 200 people coming.
Yeah.
That's a smaller church compared to the churches around you,
Yeah.
right? So you got one head pastor, one associate pastor, maybe 10 volunteers, 200 people. You're talking 20 families or something like
Yeah.
that. That's hard. It's hard for those people in the church to connect with those families and those people, understanding that, and the church kind of expressing that, like, there's a lot of us, or there's a lot of you, not a lot of us. Reach out, or encourage them to reach out and say they want to get connected, or whatever, because it's you don't want to come across the person or the family or whoever, and they stopped coming to church just because we didn't have time to reach out to them.
Right.
And I feel like as a church, as people running the church, kind of expressing that to people, it gives them an insight to, because not a lot of people know what really goes on when it comes to running a church,
Right.
and understanding how busy people are.
Yeah.
And it's just, just kind of encourage them to have that grace to be like, if we can't come to you, feel free to come to us and try to connect. Because again, there's one of me, there's 200 of you. It's going to be hard. It's not that I don't want to, but
Well, it comes back down to managing your expectations as a congregant, as a person. For one thing, if you see a need that you can fill, maybe step up and serve in that role. But beyond that, manage your expectations of what can be done in the time frame that you want it to be done in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always seen it, not always, more recently, because I remember I was talking to one of y'all, and I was like, I grew up in church, and I would always think, why are these people like here after and before doing things or whatever? And then I was in that position. I'm here on a freaking Saturday night doing stuff at church.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking about I think it was JFK. Think not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I kind of think of it the same way.
Yeah.
Think not what the church can do for you, but what you can do for your church.
That's good. Yeah, because the most heartbreaking thing is knowing that you have such a great group of leaders. Pastor Randy, Miss Dawn, Kaylee. I think I'm pretty okay.
Yeah, you're all right.
And okay. Dang. And people not getting to get connected with any of our leaders,
Right.
because they stopped coming because somebody felt their position or their spot was less than.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't even give us a chance outside one service. Like, they kind of phone it in and never come back.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking that they didn't get to get connected to such an amazing group of people.
Yeah.
That's what I never want to happen. So that's what really my focus has been on is let's create some systems to stop that from happening.
Right.
To stop people that would really love it and want to get connected and really be a part of this.
Well, that was what was so frustrating about Remnant.
Yeah.
Is we had
Not
such
even a chance.
Yeah, such an amazing group of people that people just would not come to church.
Yeah.
It was just like
Yeah.
y'all would just come and let us love on you.
Yeah.
And then that's in that sense, it's grace from both sides. You know, extending from the church leadership, extending grace to the congregation, like, you know, we need to be there for them, but also the other way around. We need to show grace to the church leadership that they may not have time to cater to my needs right now.
Right.
But maybe if I, communicate with them that I've got needs, then maybe they'll show the grace to help meet those needs.
Well, you never know what they're personally going through. You know, that's something that people get in their heads, is that pastors don't ever go through things personally. You know, well, I'm going through this. I need my pastor. Well, your pastor's going through some crap. Right. You know, be understanding.
Yep. I think that's kind of the importance of small groups and getting connected in little pods throughout the church, that you don't have to just, well, I gotta go to pastor. I gotta go to the pastor. I gotta go to pastor. You've got a group of people that, okay, I can go to my group, and then, you know, I'll get with pastor when possible, because you want to grow, but you can only deal with so many people. It's like, I've got to have time for my kids and my wife and myself, and, you know, it's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's got to extend a little more past Pastor Appreciation Day.
Oh yes. Ooh, preach it.
Because it's little things, and not just towards pastors, but anyone. You know, just like Pastor Randy being encouraging to the door greeter. That's showing appreciation, and again, with the weight of his role in the church, it means a lot more than maybe me as a random person comes to them and saying that.
Yeah.
And again, as a pastor, being shown that appreciation from anyone, you know, 'cause knowing your inner thoughts that you've expressed to us, you know, just that one person, could be anyone, really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Just saying that was a great message.
Yes, sir. What else y'all got on your heart?
That's about it, man.
So good. Yeah. What was that? Oh my gosh.
I swear he's part bulldog.
What was that?
Just
my goodness.
Hey, the nicknames for the Marines were Devil Dogs.
Are y'all excited for tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's going down, man.
That didn't sound very, that sounded more confused.
Yeah.
Richard,
Yeah?
he's like, yeah.
So excited.
What? Are you pointing at me
So
for?
excited. I know what you're saying. Well, I sure do love y'all.
Love you, man.
Okay.
Tyler's confused. But he lives confused.
Hey, listeners, we just want to thank you for your continued support for the Almost Brothers podcast. Do us a favor and go to your favorite platform and rate us and like us and share with everyone that you know. Thank you so much. Love you.